Season 3. We're back. Fairway to heaven. It's 2023. We got the Tournament of Champions, Sentry Tournament of Champions this week. We got our 2023 predictions, thoughts, and previews. We might mix in some other conversation about football and some other things just because we're live on the air. Fairway to heaven starts in just over a minute. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven Season 3 kickoff show right here on DSM Media. We're live on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Just favorite. If you want to get interactive with the show, head over to the DSM Media YouTube page. Like and subscribe. Turn notifications on so you always know when we go live. We typically go live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. right here. But sometimes we fluctuate throughout the season as life dictates. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. I got my main man, Jason Sullivan, back with me for Season 3. Good evening, Jason. Happy New Year. How are you, my friend?
Dude, I'm doing great. Season 3, bigger than ever. You got your World Series championship shirt on. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry.
It wasn't a World Series shirt. World Series appearance shirt on.
I'm kidding.
The National League pennant shirt is dirty in the laundry pile. Right?
That's right. No, I'm proud of your Phillies. No, it's good to be back, man. I can't believe it's 2023, like we were talking about.
I can't believe you haven't run and hit away from me after 2 years of doing this show together.
We're still actually friends in real life, too.
That's I know, seriously. I mean, I don't know. I'm live, coming to you from, well, it's dark now, but sunny Orlando, Florida. Last night of my vacation, but we could not kick off the Fairway to Heaven season tonight, so we're doing it. If the Wi-Fi is a little wonky, guys, I apologize. I have a really bad Wi-Fi at this rental house I'm at. Next week, we'll be back with the full kit and caboodle, all the stats and all the knowledge. But we're going to talk Sentry Tournament of Champions at Kapalua in great Hawaii. We're going to talk our season predictions this year. And at the end of the show, I want to clear my chest a little bit more. I'm not going to be live tomorrow as I'm driving to the airport really early to catch my flight home. And I just want to vent a little bit more. And I know Jason doesn't mind venting a little bit about this whole Damar Hamlin situation, everything that's been going on with that. So I honestly, Jason, I feel bad. I felt bad doing my morning show, training the AM this morning because of the situation. But we tried to just make it a place where people can vent and bitch and moan. But I kind of feel like doing shows and talking sports and talking the positives, it's a great outlet for people to kind of get their mind off of some of the depressing stuff like this Damar Hamlin situation. Get their minds off of it for an hour while we just talk other stuff and all.
Oh, for sure. And like we were talking up a little bit off the air, it's like, we're not football players, obviously. We weren't there, but like it hit home. It's like I was watching it. I felt weird. Like even like last night after watching the game, I felt just like uneasy. Like we don't even know the guy. So imagine like his teammates and his family and like it. For the lack of updates today too, I think that's concerning. There's not a whole heck of a lot being released, which makes me think he's probably not doing all that good. So yeah, it's prayers for him and his family. But yeah, it's much bigger than sports. It kind of brings everybody together. But like, man, it's a game. Who cares? Like in the big scheme of things, like this kid is in his 20s. His heart stopped for 9 minutes. Like that's crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's bigger than sports. I think that's the best way you summed it up right there. I mean, this guy's life. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine being 24. I mean, his parents. I don't know if you saw the videos of him hugging his mom before the game on the field and all that stuff. And I just said that I wanted to make this an outlet to forget about it, but now all this emotion's running back in. I remember I was sitting here. There's a little tiki bar here by the pool outside here at my rental house. I'm sitting out there. I had the Sixers game, Sixers against the Pelicans, up on the smart TV out this little tiki bar that they have set up by the pool. I'm watching. My brother's like, "Oh my god, turn on your phone." I mean, like something really bad's happening in Monday Night Football. I'm like, "Damn," you know what I mean? Like, just the Sixers game got shut off. Monday Night Raw, everything in the house just got shut off, and we just focused on it. And it was like, I couldn't go to sleep, at all. I just had the TV on. And my wife's like, "Dude, you got to go to bed." I'm like, I just can't. I can't turn this off because how's my mind going to turn off from it? And it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, life's precious, life's short. And I did see, just to say what you said there before, like literally about 30 minutes ago, it was released that his uncle spoke with the reporters outside the hospital that he has been weaned off of 100% oxygen
Oh,
usage.
good.
So he's
Good.
at 50%. He needs 50% of his oxygen coming from a machine. 50% he's like doing it on his own. So at least that's progress. He's still got a long ways to go, but it's progress.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy. It kind of makes you like, I don't know, sit back and you're like, okay, I had a bad day at work or I had a bad day, whatever, doing whatever. It's like, man, your heart didn't stop. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad sometimes that it takes something like this to put that into perspective. I think
Absolutely.
people focus so much on the negatives in life, and it's like, man, we're lucky. Like we're all healthy. We're good, man.
It's funny. Somebody tweeted out earlier today, and I was like, it really hit home. Like, it takes something like this to bring the country together. I mean, outside of the few slime balls like Skip Bayless and a few others out there, I mean, it really like something like this is crazy. That just a 24-year-old player have an injury. It could happen to anybody, throughout life, at their daily day. But this football player on the national stage of Monday Night Football, it has brought so many people together. It's kind of crazy to think that that's what it takes to unite a country, unite people and stuff like that. It's insane.
It is. When you think about like this country, like you think the times that were brought together, it's always something bad. Nine
Yeah.
11. Okay, Osama bin Laden getting killed obviously is a great thing, but like it takes something huge like that for everyone to be on the same page. Everybody's so worried about like who stand on what side, politically, and you see things about the vaccine getting brought up, and it's just so ridiculous. It's like this kid, I don't care where he comes from, I don't care what his political standing is, he's fighting for his life. That's all that
Mhm,
matters. Like he's a young kid that seems like a good dude. So
mhm.
yeah, it is sad that it takes something like this to bring us together.
It really is. It's really so sad. But anyway, let's try for the next 45 minutes. Let's try to distract everybody from everything that's going on out there. And let's talk golf. 2023. I think the 2023 season is going to be such a crucial season for golf. Everything that happened last year with the Live Tour and all the different rules and everything that's changed and the battles back and forth between golfers going and not going and all that, it's kind of behind us, but this is the first full year where the split has happened. And I think this is the first this is a really crucial year for the PGA Tour to really establish, not just establish, they're obviously established, but really cement themselves, as the right answer versus the Live Tour.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's a big year. I mean, first of all, we're going to see who else is going to go. I mean, there's obviously rumors of
There's going to be more guys. Yeah.
Mito's probably trying to go. You saw today, Joaquin Neiman was tweeting and commenting about how he wants Mito to go. That's his buddy. Is Xander going to go? That's another big name that keeps coming up. So that's going to be interesting to see. Then, of course, obviously starting in April, you're going to have the Masters, which the Live guys are playing. So that's going to be interesting. Like, is there going to be like noted bad blood? Like, are you going to be able to see the bad blood between the guys? It's kind of crazy, but like it might be good for golf with the competition, and especially with
Yeah.
these guys coming in for the big tournaments. Like the PGA Tour wants to prove that they're the best, and it's like you got some big shots, Cam Smith and DJ and those guys. It's like they're going to be trying to win these majors to prove something too. So it might be good for golf. It's going to be interesting to see. But I agree with
Well,
you. This is the year
I
to
mean, I
like
think
submit.
you bring up the Masters. I think it's going to be really interesting. We're going to bring that up again because I ran a poll question on that. It'll be interesting because the Masters, it seems like, will be the first that'll set the precedent that allows live golfers to play. And anybody, any event that's a PGA Tour event, they won't be allowed to play. But there are a few events every year on the PGA schedule that aren't sanctioned by the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
I don't know whether WGC events will do it or not. The Open Championship, there might be. The U.S. Open may allow because the U.S. Open is different than the PGA Championship
Yeah,
and the
it's
PGA
USGA.
Tour. It'll be really interesting to see the react. I don't think a lot of those tournaments will make their final decisions till they see how the reaction and how the back and forth between all the golfers go at Augusta at the Masters. It's crazy to think that Augusta will be the one setting the trend when for the longest time they were the tournament that kind of held golf back to an extent with, race and females and all that other stuff. It'll be really interesting to see what the precedent is set with Augusta.
That's a good point too, because the Masters is the tournament. I mean, like you have these other majors, but yeah, the Masters is the tournament every year. So, like you said, like the first one, the biggest tournament, you're going to be throwing this out there with the live thing. So it's crazy. I don't know. I'm so sick of live and in general and just talking about it. But it's like obviously it's going to be a storyline. It's going to continue to be a storyline. And that PGA documentary is coming out on Netflix. I think it's in February. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I think if they get into that stuff.
Yeah, we'll just get right into it. I have some poll questions for the 2023 season on the Fairway to Heaven Twitter page, and one of them was, will the live golfers be able to even compete on the PGA Tour this year in the sense of being competitive? Because, if you think about it, it's a totally different tour. It's not as competitive, 54 holes versus 72. You've got, so many other things. It's not a traditional tournament. Do you think the guys, because obviously this week, Sentry Tournament of Champions, last year's winner, Cam Smith, won't be there because, he's on live. He was my pick to win the Masters last year. Will Cam Smith, who Augusta is custom made for a guy like Cam Smith, not playing in a competitive 72-hole event for a long stretch of time, and the other guys that are over there that will, what's there, like 12 or 13 golfers on live have qualified for the Masters, will that hold them back in these events? Will that make them not able to be as competitive at Augusta because they won't have that competitive edge that they've been used to on the PGA Tour?
I feel like Cam Smith is the outlier in that question. I feel like he'll be able to compete. Cam Smith is a flat-out stud. He's a top 5 golfer in the world. I think he's pretty much cemented himself in that after last year. He could have won the Masters. He won the Open. He's a different story. I feel like he's the outlier, but I feel like it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested to see guys like Brooks, who obviously major champion, multi-time major champion. How's he going to do? You know what I mean? Like he's not used to like the competitiveness, and he flips the switch on and off. So that might not even be the best example. But DJ, like, how are guys like that?
I was going to say Dustin Johnson.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see that. I think Cam Smith kind of is the outlier and doesn't really fit in that category because he's so good. But I feel like it'll be interesting to see the other guys, and then who else goes? Joaquin Niemann. That was another one that kind of like hurt.
That broke my heart because he was He was going to be one of my breakout golfers this year. And him leaving for it, it really. Cam Smith broke my heart because he was my pick this show last year, kickoff show of the season 2. I picked Cam Smith to win 4+ events. He won 3, almost won the Masters. He was my guy. I was all in on Cam Smith last year, and I probably would have been all in on him this year as well if it wasn't for him leaving for the Live Tour. Sometimes I just kind of want to say that golf's golf, whether it's competitive or not. You still got to make your swing. You still got to make your putt. I don't know if it'll make a big difference that they're not playing in the same PGA competitive format. As long as they're swinging the golf club great, that's all that matters.
But then you worry. One thing I was thinking about this earlier today with Cam Smith is you worry with him, depending on what side you're on, but he has a history of kind of like melting down. We saw him melt down at Augusta last year. I don't know if he's a hothead or he just like loses it for a second, but like, how's he going to be when he doesn't, people aren't going to be pulling for him at Augusta. Right. Like they're going to be rooting again. It's not going to be like the Ryder Cup or anything, but like I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure, especially on him, Brooks, DJ, like these bigger guys, Patrick Reed, like these major champions that they're going to have to be kind of like be the face for Live. Like, can Live still compete? And that's a lot of pressure. So
I think that's a great point. And just the crowds alone. I don't know how Augusta will be because they're a loud crowd, but they're kind of a reserved crowd.
Yeah, something it's not going to be like the Ryder Cup or something.
Right, Ryder Cup, or even like say the U.S. Open, where it's just a public and they pack 100,000 people in there a day. There's going to be some billing going on, and there's going to be some heckling going on. So it'll be really interesting to see. I think that's a really, really great point. But because of the Live Tour, a lot of changes have happened to the PGA Tour. Bigger purses, incentives for the major players. We might, we always talk about some of those events like the Detroit Open or, Punta Cana Championship where they get like one top 50 golfer and that's it. There have been a lot of incentives put into place to make more golfers show up more frequently, more of the top tier golfers.
All about the money.
all about the money. And this week, I mean, it starts right away this week. The tournament champions, Sentry Tournament Champions, was only previous winners on PGA Tour, last year's winners. This year, it's last year's winners plus anybody that made the FedEx Championship. So there's 39 golfers teeing it up. Should have been 40 because we lost Jason there for a second. I don't know if that's me or him. Can you hear me, Jason?
Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
You hear me?
I hear you. I lost your
All
pretty.
right.
I lost your pretty face for a second. That was all.
Cried for a
I
minute.
mean, the whole entire show's over because we lost your pretty face for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You got 39 golfers. Could have been 40, but Rory's not teeing it up this week. He has not ever made the trip to Kapalua before, from what I read. There's going to be a lot of changes. You're going to see a lot less of these weak fields that we always talk about every year when we get to those events. Will that make the PGA Tour more exciting to an extent and more competitive, or will it hurt because you look at some of the guys that are in the field this week, that have won previous events last year. Most of them won events in the weaker fields. So will it hurt as a fantasy and a gambling standpoint because the top tier golfers win the big events? Almost every event's going to be a big event this year.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. And like these lesser tournaments, I think you're going to start to see, instead of just like 1 or 2 studs, you're going to start to see, like you said, 5 or 10 good players because it's all about the money. I mean, if they can go to Punta Cana and they can make a hefty paycheck being there, I think that's huge. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it affects it. I think it's good for the game. I think obviously you have to compete with LIV, but I feel like giving more incentive for these guys to play more often, the stud guys, is awesome. I think it's good for the game. I think the PGA Tour hopefully is going to have a little chip on their shoulders because they they got their faces rubbed in the dirt a little bit last year. So I think it's going to be good for them to come out. I think these guys that stayed, the Rahms, Justin Thomas, Rory, like these guys want to prove something. So I think that's good for the game.
I think some of the big names, and I think Rahm is one of them. Rahm and Rory are the 2 names to me. I mean, obviously JT, but Rahm and Rory are the 2 that really to me stick out as the names. They're going to play more events this year than normal because they want to stick it to the guys that left for the LIV Tour. And it is about money, obviously. It's about the competitive edge. I just think it'll be great for the sport as a whole to be like, look, I don't want to talk LIV anymore. I really don't. But I do agree with them, the ones that want to say shove it to the LIV guys, because you took the big bag of money and you left. And I'm good with that. Will Tiger play a few events this year outside of the Masters and the Open Championship? Because I know he wants to, but I don't know if you watched the last match that they had with him and Rory versus JT and Spieth. Still, in a golf cart event, he just did not look good.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, the issue for him is walking the course. So, bless you.
I tried to mute that. Did I not mute that in time?
No, you did. You did. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously the issue for him is going to be walking these courses. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say he's done, but like, do you see him getting through 4 rounds of walking? I don't know if I do at this point.
I would have more confidence in his son, Charlie, than, him.
Charlie's a phenom, yeah.
Dude, if I had half his swing and he's, 12 years old, 13 years old? Damn.
And the exact same mannerisms as his dad. Like, they walk putts in the same way. They swing the same way. They do the club twirl the same way. It's
trash talking. Have you seen some of the trash talking he does? I mean, it's insane. I know. Look, the PGA Tour has made a lot of changes. And, look, a lot of these changes are costing the PGA Tour money to give back to the players. But it's not like it's hurting them. The PGA Tour itself makes so much money. It's like the NFL. The NFL could do more for their players because they're making so much money on TV deals and sponsorships. This is not hurting the PGA Tour to do this. Giving more money, bigger prize pools, more incentives. It's not like I bring up Tiger because of that, because Tiger's obviously an attraction. And there's that random topic I brought up last year. Should the PGA Tour just let Tiger use a golf cart, to get him in events? But then that's changing what golf is. What the PGA Tour has done so far, it's hurting the big time, like the commissioner and the people that run the PGA Tour's pockets, but it's making the game better overall, which will make them more money, big picture, long term anyway. So like the Tiger versus the money aspect, Tiger would be changing the culture and the tradition of golf. What they're doing is great for the game because big picture, it's not going to hurt anybody's pockets whatsoever.
Exactly. Well, you brought up a good point too. You compared it to the NFL. It's like, okay, the PGA Tour, they make their money off of, ticket sales for sure. But like what are you making your money off of? TV deals, sponsorships, these, all these huge companies that, want to sponsor you. It's just like the NFL. It's like people, not to bring this about Detroit, but kind of, I mean, like people always complain, why do the Lions have the Thanksgiving Day game? Well, because they're owned by the Ford family, who is the biggest sponsor the NFL has. So do you think the Lions are ever going to lose the Thanksgiving Day game? Hell no. It's the biggest, literally the biggest sponsor the NFL has. So
Right.
it's all about the money, and it's the PGA Tour stepping up their game, rightfully so. They probably should have done this a long time ago. So maybe this might be good for the tour that Liv's kind of kicking them in the butt a little bit and getting it going. I mean, because if you look at the guys on the Live Tour, I know Cam Smith is obviously, he's like, again, the outlier. That one hurts, that because I mean he's just up and coming. But like, are you that thrilled with any of these guys on the Live Tour? Like, are you that? It's kind of like the middle pack. That's where it's hurting some of these
I mean,
events
the
too.
two
Is like,
biggest names in my opinion were Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson. Dustin
yeah,
Johnson to me kind of is past his prime, and
yeah, he's on the downside.
Brooks Koepka never cared outside the PGA Championship and the Masters. You know what I mean? So what are we really losing there? We're losing Cam Smith basically, and in return we're getting happier PGA Tour golfers. And I think
I
that's
feel
any athlete. It's about them being happy because I mean it's just like baseball. I mean football's tough, basketball's tough, but it's like baseball to me where they're on the road or professional wrestling on the road 300 days out of 365 days. Golfers are on the road all year long, and making them happier makes the game better, makes the product we're going to watch every weekend better. And there's no negative to what has happened. And we can thank, and I know Phil Mickelson has said a couple times, and it'll be interesting to see Phil Mickelson if he tees it up at Augusta or not. Phil Mickelson kind of is that martyr that fell on the sword for everybody.
he kind of did, yeah.
And we're, I think 3 or 4 years from now, we may thank him, but right now at the point, I can't thank him yet. But, the game is going to get better because of everything that's happened here.
No, I completely agree with you. I think where we see this in a lot of tournaments too, it's not hurting the upper end. Like it's hurting the mid-tier guys. Like you'd see like the 8K range of DraftKings. That's where
Right.
you'd find Patrick Reed and Brooks maybe a little higher, but like that's where you're seeing it hurt these tournaments. It's like a lot of these tournaments are getting good fields, but like you see them, not this one in particular, but like the full field ones where you see like they're very top heavy. It's like once you get down past the first 7 guys, the field's crap. But it looks good because you see, the Patrick Cantlays and Rorys and guys like that are playing.
I lost you again there. I don't know if that's Jason or me there. I lost his pretty face again on the screen here. But again, the pros outweigh the cons 110%. There he is again. We're back again. We are kicking off season 3 in fine fashion right here.
That's right. But yeah, no, right. I think it'll be good for the tour overall. I think they need some competition, and this is a good thing.
I had 2 poll questions that I want to go over with you, but basically the conversation we've just had for the last 10 or 12 minutes has in my mind created another question based off of it. So I have 2 poll questions. I had poll question number 1 was who will win their first major ever this year? And I put Will Zalatoris. No, that's sorry, wrong one there. Where are the ones who win their first major? So I put Xander, Tony Finau, Cam Young, or other. Of course, BK saying why isn't Zalatoris on that list? And then the other question was what former major winner will win a major in 2023? And I put Rory, Scheffler, Spieth, or other. And again, I make these poll questions hoping that people click other to get the conversation going.
For sure.
But my question is, will the motivation to say stick it to the Live Tour lean more heavy towards it's more likely that former majors like major winners like Rory and Rahm are going to contend even more? They're going to be playing more golf. They're going to be in better form come major time. Is it more likely that we see a Rahm, a Rory, Spieth, 2 or 3 of those guys win majors? And some years we see that all major winners are first-time winners. Was it last year? Who won last year? So we had Scotty Scheffler, we had Cam Smith. Who were the other? We had Matthew Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open. And who won the PGA Championship? Justin Thomas. So Justin Thomas was a repeat. We had 1 repeat, and we had 3 first-time winners last year.
Yeah.
I kind of see because of Live it being the flip-flop, we're going to see 3 repeat major winners this year and barely maybe, a first-time winner this year. What do you think about that?
That's a great point. I think we saw that with Rory last year. I mean, he kept his foot on the gas the entire season. I mean, he didn't win a major. He came very close, obviously, to winning the Open, but like he he looked like a different Rory. He looked super motivated. You saw Rahm. I mean, he won the Spanish Open and then he won the DP World Tour
Right.
Championship. Like, obviously that was overseas, but like you saw motivated golfers, and these guys are the best golfers in the world. These high end guys, and like I think we're more likely to see. I don't know. I think Spieth could be in contention for some majors this year. Rahm, I think, is my favorite golfer going into this year. I mean,
We're
Rory.
gonna get to that. We're gonna get to John Rahm in a
Yeah,
minute.
you pick against Rory this year, you're asking for it because he's highly motivated right now. I mean, you see like how much it matters to these guys right now. So I wouldn't pick against any of them at the moment.
All right, so let's get into these before we get to Kapalua and the Sentry Tournament Champion picks for this week. Let's get into these the rest of these poll questions. If you had to pick one golfer to win their first major in 2023, poll question: I have Xander, Tony Finau, Cam Young, and other. So right now, so far, 47% said Xander, 38% said Tony, only 4% said Cam Young, which I'm surprised because a lot of people were high on him last year. But I kind of feel like the Cam Young train has kind of dropped down. And 10% said other. And we had a lot of Will Zalatoris comments in the comments section. I'll let you answer this one first because I think you're going to be surprised at who I pick. But I'll let you answer this one first.
For me, it's Finau. And I think it's not really.
We're locked on that one.
I don't know. I think he's proven now that he can win. When you look at, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you could see him. He always plays good at Augusta. I mean,
Tee to green, ball striker.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen him. Even the year he blew out his ankle, he still finished like fifth or something. So yeah, I think it's Finau for me. I mean, Zalatoris is going to be the sexy play. Everybody's going to think that he's the guy because he obviously he's a stud too. He contends in all the majors. That's just he'll win one sooner or later. But like Finau, I feel like was right there for so long, and I feel like this is the year he really takes off to being elite because I think he is. His skill set's elite. His thing was all right here, and now that he's kind of conquered that.
So since you said my pick, Finau, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to wing this one here. Look, first off, I think the Zalatoris thing, it's a great pick, but he did have herniated discs at the very end of the season. I think it's going to take a long time for Will Zalatoris to get back to that elite top 5 player, in contention every week kind of guy. And he's kind of in that Hideki kind of category that I'm going to be scared to bet and play Will Zalatoris until I see 5, 6, 7 events in a row of him being healthy and contending, because back issues we've seen with Hideki's and a couple other guys. When you start having a back issue, it just keeps recurring over and over again until you're spot on. Tony Finau is obviously my pick, but I will say the one thing that Tony Finau did this past year is he won some real events. Guess who else won some real events last year? Finally, Xander Schauffele. So my second choice would be Xander Schauffele. Maybe a PGA championship from Xander Schauffele, a U.S. Open, one of those two events. I could definitely see it. But if I was going to pick one guy, it would definitely be Tony Finau because sometimes it takes a Finau or Xander just winning one or two. Like they had won small events or the Olympics or whatever. It just takes winning that middle event. It kind of gives you the confidence in a strong field once you win it that, hey, I'm in contention. I got a chance here. And then that takes you to the next level. I can see Xander being that other guy that wins a first-time major. But honestly, I think the amount of guys that are in contention to win a major outside of the previous winners is very small this year.
Yeah, me too. I think Hovland's another one. I think he's kind of in that category. Like he's got going through the process right now where the talent is there, but I think he's figuring out how to win. Like you've seen him get a couple WGCs, and you've seen him like these smaller tournaments. But like that dude's super talented too. Like I mean, if he ever shows up at all with the putter, he's going to win a major sooner or later too. He's a stud as well.
I will give you one little tidbit that I've decided on for this year. In the 4 majors, the Players Championship, about 5 or 6 of the top events, I will not be betting a single person outside of 25-1 because I think the elite event, almost every elite event is won by a top guy, but I think this year it's going to be even more exaggerated. Like this week's favorite at Sentry Tournament Champions is John Rahm at 6.5-1. Like that's my favorite bet of the week. Like I know 6.5-1 means you're not going to win a huge return on your investment, but that's going to be what the big events are this year. You're not going to see a Scott Stallings or last year I hit Luke List at the Phoenix Champion. Or what event did Luke List win last year?
Not Phoenix. I forget. Scotty won Phoenix.
It wasn't Phoenix. He was 75-1 to win an event. There's a chance nobody across the entire season at 75-1 wins an event this year because of the competitive edge it's going to be on the PGA Tour. So I'm telling you, it's going to be the elite of the elite that win almost every single week on tour this year.
Well, we kind of saw that last year too. It's like you saw down the stretch. It's like the best guys just the chalk just kept hitting in DFS, which was the best guys. Obviously, it's like, yeah, I think that's going to continue too. I can
All
see
right.
that.
So the other question, then the next poll question I had was if you had to bet the house, pulling that term from one of our DFS buddies on Twitter, betting the house on one former major to win another major this year, who would it be? And I put
You go
Rory.
first.
I put Rory. Rory got 52% of the vote. Scotty Scheffler got 26. Jordan Spieth got 18. Other got 3%. And I hate when people do this. People vote other and don't actually say other, so I don't know who the 3% of other were. Rory, I'm one of the people that voted other or would vote other because I know everybody's high on Rory.
Me
But
too.
to me, John Rahm,
Yep.
I am literally every event John Rahm is in this year, I am betting him outright. And I will bet him outright in every single major. I think last year I predicted Cam Smith would win 3 or more or 4 or more events. He won 3, almost won the Masters for 4. I'm predicting John Rahm to win 4 events this year, at least, and include out of those 4, at least one of them will be a major. He's already my pick to win the Masters, John Rahm. I mean, I'm going to bet a few other names, obviously. John Rahm will win at least 4 events this year, if not more. That's my pick. I know everybody loves Rory, and I love Rory. The emotional me wants Rory to win, but my betting and mind says John Rahm is going to absolutely dominate the PGA Tour this year.
He's just too talented. I mean, I know Rory is too, but like it's just these guys are so talented. And like Rahm, I mean, when Rahm's going well, you can't stop him. And I feel like if he's confident, he lost his confidence last year. We saw him start super hot, and then he lost his confidence. I mean, you saw what that does. If he's confident and he's playing well, I mean, he won twice in the fall. I pick Rahm for that category too, 100%.
Did you? Okay. I thought you would actually see. We're on par. We're seeing eye to eye here so far. That's kind of
which is not good. Which is probably not good.
I really thought you were going to go Rory as your pick there. All right. So some of the other poll questions. So this one I thought was a little fun. Obviously, Rory's actually the number 1 ranked golfer in the world right now. Late in the year, he took that spot over. Who will finish if it's not Rory, number 1 in the world? I put Will Zalatoris, which I know is kind of crazy, but he's in the top 10. John Rahm, who got 64% of the vote. Scotty Scheffler, 9%. 22% voted other. A lot of them were saying that Rory was going to stay number 1. Some other people threw some other names out there. Obviously, if I say that John Rahm's going to win 4+ events this year, obviously my pick is John Rahm will overtake Rory and be the number 1 golfer in the world this year. You got a couple guys in the top 10 or 12 that are on live that are going to fall down, obviously, really quickly. John Rahm, the number 1 golfer in the world when we wrap this season up at the end of the year?
He is for me, 100%. Okay, so say you couldn't pick Rahm, who would be the next guy that you'd pick?
Oh, I didn't actually pull up the official golf rankings.
For me, it's JT. I just feel like a motivated JT. I feel like
I really expected people to type his name in the others comment section. Nobody did, which was kind of surprising to me. It's not going to be Will Zalatoris. It's not going to be a guy that's never won on tour. It's either going to be Rahm. It's going to be a JT. Maybe Rory holds on to it all year long. It's been a long time since we had a guy hold on to the number 1 ranking from start to end of the year. And we've done all this talk about Rory, about Rahm, about Spieth, about Zalatoris, and we forgot one guy, Scotty Scheffler, who literally dominated tour last year. And we didn't mention him once, and I kind of feel like he's flying under the radar because he kind of had a couple events late in the year that he kind of sputtered in. He wasn't used to that, prestige of being number 1. So if I'm not going to go Rahm as number 1 in the world at the end of the year, it's going to be Scotty Scheffler. Because Scotty Scheffler proved something to me. I doubted him all year last year, and Scotty Scheffler was the real deal last year.
Well, his thing, too, was just his putting at the end of the year. Like, he was still playing great. He was just putting horrible, which he normally puts pretty well. So he fixes that issue, and then you got a different Scotty. He's absolutely capable.
All right, so let's get into this week, because they were my main poll questions this week. Let's get into this week. Tournament of Champions, Sentry, Kapalua in Hawaii. First and foremost, let me just ask you a random question. I've never been to Hawaii. Up until about 5 years ago, I never had a desire to go to Hawaii. But since covering golf started in my life in 2020 and loving food as much as I do, and my gut tells me I love food, I have a strong desire to go to Hawaii to to eat tacos and play golf. Am I crazy
To
to say
eat
that?
tacos. No, this is probably the nicest course you're gonna see, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't know if you've seen pictures of this course, but it looks like,
Uh,
I mean, it looks like it's fake. It's so nice.
yeah,
So
they
yeah,
they
no, I don't
say
think
the
you're wrong.
reason they say the reason why so many of the guys that qualify for this event actually show up is because it's the nicest resort, the nicest property, period, for their families, for everything. Golfers are on the road nonstop. Um, I want to go to Hawaii. Yes, tacos.
Yes.
I haven't had a taco in a week or
That
two.
threw me
So
off for a second, but
yeah.
I feel you.
Come on, some Hawaiian tacos with some pulled pork, some grilled pineapple,
Oh,
sit on the
sounds
ocean,
delicious.
and go tee off at Kapalua. What would be a better experience? Like, I almost would prefer to eat tacos and play at Kapalua than go to Augusta. I honestly, if you could give me both combined, that might actually beat playing at Augusta.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. Yeah, I mean, the
Uh,
course is like we said, this course is amazing. So I think it's funny that Rory just doesn't play. They're like, yeah, Rory's not going to play in the Tournament of Champions. Like, nah, he doesn't do that.
yeah, I am the champion, so I don't need to play
I
in the
wonder what
tournament.
the reason is. I wonder if there's like an actual reason, or he just
Yeah,
like, I don't want to travel.
there probably is some random reason that he's got, especially considering this year with everything that's going on with Live, and we keep going back to Live. If he's skipping this event this year, even with everything that's going on, there's got to be something deep down inside that
Yeah, he
makes
just
him not
doesn't
want
like
to play this
Hawaii or
event.
something. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. He doesn't like Hawaii. I don't know how you cannot the travel. I mean, you travel all the time. I don't. Rory can afford a private jet to take him there, so I
Well,
don't know.
and Rory plays overseas all the time on
Yeah,
the Euro tour, so that can't be
maybe
it.
it's a holiday thing. Maybe it's a family related thing that this
Yeah.
week, because we've seen that in the past where golfers just won't play certain weeks because of family obligations. I don't know. Whatever. So
Well, and like
I'm
if you're gonna go, you always see the guys play 2 times in a row. Like Sony's next week.
right.
Like you see, maybe he just doesn't want to commit to 2 events back to back. I don't know.
Exactly. These guys just probably want to. Maybe he just doesn't want to go to Hawaii because of that specific reason right there.
Yeah.
Um. All right. So Kapalua, it's one of it's the longest tour. You do
Yep.
your article with FanShare. I read it. Like I said, we're getting to a new season with DFS and gambling. I'm changing my philosophies up this year a little bit, not a lot because I had a very successful year betting wise. Look, I went 2020 first year of the show. I had 3 outrights. Last year I had 6 outrights. Obviously, I hope to beat that. The goal is for us all to make money and help encourage you to make money with the right picks and all. You do your article and PGA Tout article. They're my 2 course preview articles. That's all I read. Those 2 articles. So Kapalua, longest course on tour, only par 73. What do we know about Kapalua, and what kind of a golfer will win and compete this week?
It's long. Obviously, I mean, 7,598 yards. That's ridiculously long. It's a little deceiving just because of the elevation changes and different things.
Absolutely.
But it's obviously a long course. You're gonna have to score on the par fives. You're gonna see everybody talk about distance this week, but off the tee, I think is probably the most important thing. I mean, you've seen guys just tear it up off the tee. There's no real trouble anywhere. The fairways are like 100 yards wide, literally. So you're not going to miss the fairways here, basically. There's no rough, there's no trouble. So you're going to need guys that bomb it out there, and you're going to see everybody go heavy on it. Um, I think a thing that's a little bit underrated this week is putting.
Okay.
You've seen some people talk about putting a little bit, but these greens are massive. I mean, they average 8,722 square feet. That's huge for greens. So you're going to need to avoid 3-putting. You're going to see, I don't know. I always like in these birdie making contests to roster good putters because, I mean, they're all going to get up and down here. They're all, the tee to green is going to be not that much of a challenge. It's going to be who can, find themselves in the best with the best approach shots, who can give themselves opportunities. I mean, you're going to have to make putts here. So obviously, distance is the most important, but I think rostering guys that are good putters is key too.
So everything you just said there brought up really 2 interesting questions I want to ask you as a guy that when you're building your models, when you're building your lineups and stuff like that. First off, I tend to try to avoid doubling up on similar type of stats, like off the tee. I think it's very important. I agree with you. It's very important. Driving distance is also very important. But typically, so there's 3 driving categories to me: off the tee, distance, and accuracy. I try to pick one or the other every week. This week I'm doubling up and putting accuracy and off the tee both in my model this week. Is that, fair to do? Is that a bad idea to double up on that stat? Like I got 45% of my model is off the tee and driving distance. I think it's super important to be able to long and not accurate, but great off the tee there. What is your thought on doubling up on a category like that when you're building your model?
No, I love it. So I started doing that last year a lot. Like
Okay.
if accuracy was important, I would do off the tee plus accuracy. This week
Right.
distance is important. I would do off the tee and then
Right.
distance too. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't weigh like I won't weigh distance like a crazy amount. I'll throw 10% on it or 5% depending on
Okay.
what I have in there. But I think it's important. And then comparing like okay, which guys you don't want to just have one dimensional golfers. Like build a
Right.
lineup with good off the tee guys. Build another lineup with good distance guys. I started doing that last year a lot, like focusing on stats. I know our buddy Chad from the Fantasy Golf Pod, he's a big proponent of that, like making lineups like, okay, this lineup's my approach lineup. This lineup's my good putters. This lineup's my, off the tee guys. It's like, I
Yeah.
think that's the way to win, especially if you're making 20 lineups or 150 lineups. It's like, why not
Right.
do that? Throw a few lineups at each category and find these guys that do good in multiple categories. So I to answer your question, I like to double up on stats. I just started doing that last year, and I'm
Okay.
gonna continue to do that.
Something I started doing late in the year that I had a lot of success with last year at the second half of the year was that I do my model, and obviously, if you're in the top 10 of my model, almost all top 10 guys are in my player pool every week. But what I've started to do is you build 4, 5, 6, 7 stats in a model. The two that always stick out in my mind every week, whatever they are, each week's different as my favorites. Like this week, to me, it's off the tee, and it's birdies are better because obviously it's a birdie festive event. I will resort my model by one or the other category, and I'll look who's in the top 10 in my personal opinion, the top 10 of those two categories. Because sometimes you're in the top 10 of a model, but you're not top 10 in the two most important things. You might be in one or the other. But if you're top 10 in both categories of the most important things, you're in my lineups no matter what, and you're going to be my highest click guys. That's something I figured out last year late that was super important. Go for and they're the guys that I tend to bet most likely for top 20, top 10 outrights. The two most important categories every week. If you're in the top 10 in both, you're getting money played on you every single week. And I think that's something that people focus on the top 10 in the model and not the top 10 in each of the most important categories.
I agree with that 100%. And I think another kind of tidbit on that too is change the length of the golf courses. Like find what guy, if it's a short course, find the guys that play well on short courses. That gets you so. I mean, this is a long course. You're going to need to be a bomber. Find the guys that play long on good on courses that are over 7,400 yards. I think you got to dig in. Models are very surface level, if that makes any sense. Like you're going to find, like you said, okay, this guy's number 3 in my model. Well, why? Why is he number 3 in your model though?
Right.
Does he do the key stats? Is he good at the key stats that you need him to be good at this week? Does he fit courses that are long? Can he score? I mean, this event could be, if the wind doesn't pick up, could be 30 under. Can he get to 30 under? I mean, like there's a lot of factors. And so I think people get caught up in the models of being very surface level. You have to dig into it, dig into the stats more, find out, sort by last 50, sort by last 24, sort by last 12, go down and see like what the trends are. And then our buddy Rob is big on that, like trends. Like you want to see, is he trending right or is he trending wrong? Not just in terms of finishing points, but like how's his approach game? How's his off the tee game? Is it getting better? I mean, this week's a little tricky because they haven't played in a while, but
I haven't played in a while. And it's a small field. It's no cut. I hate no cut events. I don't mind them when they're bigger field no cut events, but these small events, the tournament champions or the tour championship at the end of the year, this event, the few small events every year, they're just so hard to handicap.
Isn't it funny how you say that and then I say the opposite? Like it's so weird. Like we do the same thing. We talk on the same level. We have a lot of the same opinions, but like for whatever reason, I just always do better at no cut events. I don't know why that is the case. I wish I could figure it out. But I'll take it.
So the other thing on the stats that you brought up about putting on this event, at this course in Kapalua there, was putting. And if you've been watching the show for the first 2 years of the show, I'm not a fan of weighing putting very often. But what I do is weeks when there's an event with huge putting greens that are massive, I do weigh 3-putt avoidance into my model. Because I think when you have these big greens, you got to get birdies. You got to get the green on the green and 2 on par 5s, which means you got to make 2 putts. I put the 3-putt avoid. A week when putting's this important, I'll put the 3-putt avoidance in over putting. Is there a theory where that's a smart idea, or maybe a smart idea, or just straight to just grading their overall putting ability?
Well, I think the 3-putt thing is definitely true on bigger greens, but I think the green type is the biggest thing. Sorting by green type is something that you need to do, and it matters a lot. I mean, like, I just got into it last year. I have a buddy that like insists that you win GPPs based on rostering good putters that putt on that surface, whatever it is. That's his like biggest thing every week. So he kind of got me into like looking like you'd be shocked sometimes when you look at the putting splits, like guys that are good putters, like, yeah, in your model, they're going to pop and say, like, yeah, they're a good putter, but like maybe they don't putt well on Bermuda. Maybe they do putt well on Bermuda. Maybe it's only Bermuda that they putt well on. Like, that's,
Right.
I think sorting by green type is huge.
I agree with you, and I actually think that the trends that you talked about a few minutes ago, putting wise, are so important because you look at stats. I mean, team the phrase that's out there. It's one of the top three in my mind most overused phrases. One being fading a guy because of ownership percentage and pivoting. I hate the pivot term. You know that.
Yeah.
The team no putt phrase. I hate it because then you got a year like last year where someone that was captain of team no putt, Keegan Bradley, had a great putting season and played great all year. But if you focus so heavily in on the shots gained putting, you weren't playing him. But he trended in the right direction. So I think the trends in putting is so important. Like if you're going to just do it off to the side, have your model here, and then off to the side say, all right, who in the last 24 rounds has been putting great? Who in the last 24 rounds have been putting great on Bermuda or whatever it may be? I think that's what you need to focus in on when it comes to putters and golfers.
You brought up Keegan too. Griot, who might be the worst putter on the tour, had it. Yeah, the whole summer putted amazing last year. It was like Rory. I mean, he's not the best putter. He putted amazing. You saw putting trends matter so much. I agree with your point 100%. Like you saw Scotty. I mean, when he putted, you saw him win. What did he win? 4 events in the first, few months of the season. I mean, you saw him Phoenix, you saw him the Masters, you saw him a couple other events. It's like when he was putting, he was dominating. It wasn't even fair. And then he stopped putting. He lost confidence in his putter, and all of a sudden you saw him struggle. And it's such a good point. That's a great point of just, not just are they a good putter? Are they a good putter on that surface? Have they been putting? Is their trend? Are they trending in the right direction putting? I mean, it matters. It's highly variable. Like you don't know like week to week exactly what's going to happen, but like you can kind of predict. It's becoming predictable or more predictable, I should say.
All right, so this week it's a no-cut event. There's only 39 golfers in the field, so we don't got to go tier by tier with DraftKings. I typically do the 20 entry or 20 max entry events. When they're these super small fields, I just do the 3 max entry events. So I have a very small player pool this week that I'm playing. I've already built my 3 lineups because I'm traveling tomorrow. I can't even place my bets until I get home tomorrow, but I already know I'm going to place a very small field. I just to warn, I'm going to make a lot more bets this year. I'm just going to focus in a lot more on that I used to on betting. I'm still going to be a baby better as I'm known as, but I'm still going to get crushed in DMs for betting tiny every single week. But I am going to focus in on the higher end bets and in the top 20s and stuff like that this year. First off, player pool wise, where are you starting? So I got 3 lineups, and I got one name in all 3 lineups, and I got 2 names in 2 out of 3 lineups. So I'm curious to see what names you're focusing in on this week on DraftKings.
So can I ask you a question before we segue into that? Can I ask you, okay, if you were to guess right now who you thought the highest owned guys are this week, what would you say?
I actually have not even clicked on ownership percentage.
Which is even better. Just say you just
exactly. I haven't clicked on it this week. I would assume that Jon Rahm and oh man, I want to say Jon Rahm, Will Zalatoris, and Scotty Scheffler are the 3 highest owned guys.
So Scotty is not. Jon Rahm is actually, well, they're saying right now 20%, but that'll probably go up.
Hold on, before you keep going on, ownership percentages are different the weeks of
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So 20% is actually not bad.
30% next week.
Yeah, if he stays at 20%, I mean, I think that's a smash play at 10,000. Actually, number 1 is JT, which is a little bit predictable because of the price. I mean, like you're seeing, like Tambo calls it the Best Buy discount. You see him at 9,900. You're like, wow, JT's in the 9s. Like, well, kind of. Technically, yes, but okay. So he's number 1. I believe number 2 is Sungjae Im.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people hyping up Sungjae Im this week.
Yeah, he's just mispriced. He's priced too low.
Yeah, he's too priced.
Spieth is Sungjae Im's 31. Spieth is 27. I mean, Hovland's 27. You're seeing like these guys get up there. I mean, keep in mind there's 39 golfers, but like you're seeing guys that are really damn good golfers at pretty low ownership. I mean, like Matthew Fitzpatrick at 11%.
I've talked about this before. The golfers that are priced at one spot, but their odds are another spot. Like Sungjae Im. Hold on, let me pull this back out here for a second. Sungjae Im is he's 8,300. There's like 20 golfers ahead of him, approximately. But on the odds, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 8th best odds to win the event.
Yeah.
And you really have to pay attention to that when you're looking at these things. I mean, Im and Hovland are in the top 10, in odds. But someone like Spieth is way, way down there also. He's 22 to 1.
Yeah.
So you got to pay attention to stuff like that as well. Justin Thomas, 5th best odds to win. If John Rahm's at 20% ownership in a field like this, and he's a favorite to win it, he's only at 10K. You got to take all that into equation when you're building your player pools. You have to look at the outright odds to win, because I saw was it Chad that did that thread the other day where he was saying key things to look at every single week.
Yep.
And to me, one of the key things to do is compare the DraftKings prices to the DraftKings odds, or FanDuel odds, the FanDuel price, whatever slate you play on. You got to compare the two things, because you can learn something there.
You know what another thing is too? I was looking at the pricing this week. Like, I know that this is a small field and everything like that, but I feel like the pricing is too soft almost this week. Like Rahm being only 10,000, like that makes. I mean, Rahm being 10,000, JT being 9,900, like it almost makes you have to play them. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's too good of a. I mean, I know Rory obviously didn't play, and he was factored in the pricing.
Your highest priced player playing in the field at 10-3.
Well, like, and it was Rory, but Rory was only 10-5, so it's not like he was
Scotty
like.
Scheffler should be 11. John Rahm should be 11. The JCT should be 10-7.
Yeah.
Maybe you could take somebody like, Sungjae Im at 83. He should be 92, 93.
Yeah.
Tony
to
Finau,
make you actually think about it. You know what I mean? Like,
you make you think. Have a disparity. Have a lot of guys above 9K, and then have like a 2-person 8K range almost to an extent, and then bump more guys down to that 6K range. I almost feel like that's kind of the way in a field like this they should do it. It makes you think a little bit. It would also create more unique lineups, I think.
That's the one thing that football has done, I think, so well, finally. I think that they finally hit that point where, like, you see a guy like Justin Jefferson, right? Probably the best fantasy player right now. Like, he's at 9,700, 9,800. So, like, if you put him in your lineup every week, you're like, it's hard to build a good lineup and feel good about it when you have one guy. I mean, like last week, and then he busted. It's like, that screws your whole lineup. Like, this pricing is so soft that, like, you can play Rahm and JT. I mean, like, it's crazy. There's no decision making, and I kind of like that when it's like, okay, obviously this guy's the best guy in the field, but he's substantially higher priced than everybody else. So, like, can I make the rest of my lineup good? Like, yeah, I want to play so and so, but they're 11-5. Can I make a good lineup if I put them in?
I agree 100% with you. All right, so let's get to these lineups here. So I got one name that's in all three of my lineups, and I'm not going to lie, it's John Rahm. And now hearing his ownership percentage, I'm so happy that his ownership percentage is 20% projected at this point. And as Tuesday night projections could change, obviously drastically. And me and you talked off air, and through text messages, trying to do some more short clips, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with ownership projections and stuff like that. So as the season progresses, you might get more content. It's a great reason to like and subscribe and follow on all social media platforms like that. As I do that cheap plug right there. But if you had to pick one golfer to put in like I said, I'm only doing 3 lineups, so 3 for 3 John Rahm. Is there a guy you would prefer to have in a 3 for 3 than John Rahm this week?
No, that's my 100% the play. I feel like he's going to be much higher than 20%, but I feel like he is the best golfer in this field. I was kind of hoping that one of these guys at the top end would come in lower. Like, I was hoping that people would completely forget about Scotty, but I mean, like, 17% is not completely forgetting about him. So I don't know. I think monitor that up until the lineup lock, because if there is, obviously don't play a guy just because of ownership. But like, if a guy that good is that low owned, it's like, man, toss him in your lineup.
I mean, you know me. I'm the only person in the DFS ignores ownership. So I'm the one that just says all the time, week in, week out, just play the guys you think you're going to win. If you can pick the winner in your lineups every single week, if you're doing 20 lineups, you've got the winner in 10 or 11 of your lineups every single week, you're turning a profit every single week. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I said it last year at the start of the year, pick John Rahm and the winner every week. So this year it's going to be
that's right.
Rahm And if he wins, you're great. If he's in your lineup with the winner, great, even better. You know what I mean? So it's literally it's so simple. Just pick the winner every week in your lineups, and you're good to go. But
It's
make
funny
sure
because
you
I told one of my buddies about your strategy, pick the winner and John Rahm every week, and he brings that up to this day. Me and him talk golf all the time, and like every conversation we have, he brings up that strategy. He's like, "Well, yeah, I'm going to pick Rahm and the winner every week." So,
I
like,
mean, it's
that's the
the way
way to go.
dude. So I had a great season last year, so I'm just gonna keep with it. Pick
Yeah,
John Rahm every week.
just keep doing it.
All right, so I got 3 names actually, not 2 names that are in 2 out of 3 lineups. Can you guess the 3 names I've got in 2 lineups this week?
I'm gonna go. Okay, so we got
Based
you
off
said
of models and what we talked
You
about.
said 3 names are in 2 lineups.
Yeah, 3 names are in 2 lineups this week.
Jordan Spieth.
He is in 2 lineups this week.
I'm gonna go with Tom Kim.
No, see, I'm not a Tom Kim guy.
Oh, I am.
I don't buy the Tom Kim hype. He got hot last year. I need to see a little
Finau.
bit more. No, Finau's in 1 lineup this
Xander.
week. No, he's only in 1 lineup as
right.
well. All right, so
I give up.
I got Zalatoris in 2 lineups. I'm taking a flyer. I think that the back might scare a few of the professional, DFS people away from him. I think he's a good play this week. I don't know how he'll do long term. But then I also went with a guy. So you say Tom Kim, a guy that had a very up and down year last year, but even with because I got so much speed, I got so much ROM, I got so much high end guys. I had to go with a lower end, like a lower priced guy. So I went with Tagala in 2 lineups this week to be that cheaper 7,300, that guy that will kind of bounce out all my Spieth and Roms, all my Zalatoris and Rom combos that I've built.
Well, and Sahith Theegala is like he's the definition of boomer bust. Like he's either top 5 or 60th. There's no in between.
But that's the thing when you're playing a no cut event. Those boom and bust guys are great as long as they're birdie makers. Because if there's 4 rounds and they're going to make 3 of them great and 1 bomb, overall big picture, you're still looking pretty good.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
All right, give me some of the names that you like this week.
So Rahm's obviously my favorite. Finau, I don't know how you don't play Finau right now. Like he's been playing too well. Obviously, he's going to pop in all the stats. I think that's a must play. I was hoping Hovland would be a little bit lower. I knew he wouldn't be low owned, but I was hoping he wouldn't be 27%. So that's what I'm seeing right now with him, which makes me, I don't know, shy off of him a little bit. If Sungjae Im is 31% owned, I will be fading him. I can promise you that. Hideki's interesting to me, not just in this tournament, but this year in particular. Like he's another guy that was a little dinged up. He kind of went through a little bit of a cold spell. Was it back with him too? I can't remember what he
back
had.
With him, and then he got some DQs mixed in.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, like off subject there?
Yeah.
Are you surprised Hideki didn't go to the Live Golf Tour?
Yes,
he's a guy that spelled Live Golf Tour to me.
Yeah, he does. I mean, as a guy that, he won the Masters, that was like his crowning moment. Like he doesn't need the notoriety. Like he doesn't need the PGA Tour to make him. Like he is the Asian superstar. You know what I mean? Like the Japanese superstar. It's like take the money and run. I'm surprised he didn't take the money and run. I thought for sure he would go.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree with you on that.
That's interesting to me. Do you have any guys at the lower end that you really like?
No. Played some of them because you got to build a lineup. Scott Stallings, only because of one reason. Did you hear the Scott Stallings story?
Did you see that? I was going to ask you if you saw that. That was so funny.
I put into one lineup this week just because of the Scott Stallings story. So if you haven't heard the story, Scott Stallings, there's another golfer named Scott Stallings out there. He's an amateur, and he's got the exact same name. And Scott Stallings has been invited to the Masters this year, but the Masters in Augusta accidentally mounted to the wrong Scott Stallings in America. And he just found out of it. He's been waiting by his mailbox for his invitation. And
he said he was checking his mail like 5 times a day, and it went to the other guy.
Some random Scott Stallings that said, "Yo, is this your invitation?"
I like how it was a picture of it. And he said, and then the next, I don't know if you saw the one below it. It said, "I'm not even joking." Below this,
like if I was Scott Stallings, I may just take the invitation.
Yeah, like, I'm showing up. You fucked up. You sent it to the wrong guy. That's not my fault.
Yo, I got the invitation here. It's just like a James Bond movie. Yo,
yeah, that's not my fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, exactly. I'm playing in Augusta,
Mm-hmm.
I did put Scott Stallings in one lineup just because of that. Like I said, I liked Scott Stallings. If I'm going off of my philosophy of picking guys that are in top tier of both things, that I'm really focused in which this week is birdies are better or off the tee. There's just not a lot of guys that fall into that category. You know what I mean? So I tried to stick away from those low end guys and just build balanced lineup. Tom like Tom Hoagie maybe, but not really. There's just none of the low end guys are there.
Well, here's the problem too. Tom Hoagie at
Trey Mullinax,
20%.
like, Trey Mullinax is one of the guys that just pops in both ends of the model for me. But I really just couldn't put Trey Mullinax in my equation when I'm playing John Rahm and all these other great guys every single week.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The lower end of this thing is pretty disgusting, if you're being honest.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing will be that this event next year, we're not going to see Trey Mullinax. We're not going to see Chad Ramey, Ryan Breen, Luke List. These guys aren't good because the field will be stronger every single week. There's going to be a lot less of these weak guys. Next year, we might get somebody like, say, Keegan Bradley or Aaron Wise or Tagala, who are in the mid sevens because of their events they won. They're going to be the bottom end next year because of the fact that it's going to be tougher events each week.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, so Oz, do you have if you're gonna? I don't know if you've made any bets yet this week. I can't make my bets till tomorrow night when I get home. I am only making 3 bets this week, but my biggest bet is John Rahm to win. John Rahm has finished in the top 10 of this event 5 straight years. He finished second place last year. The event last year went to 34 under. It could do that again because of the weather. I don't think there's anybody more equipped in the field to go 30 under or better than John Rahm. I'm going all in on John Rahm this week.
So, we were kind of talking a little bit earlier about the pricing with Rahm's history being here, like so good. And you look right below him, JT's history is so good too. Like, I mean, he's won twice, 2/3 and a fifth. Like, how are they priced 9,900 and 10,000? Like that seems like such a misprice to me. So no, I agree with you. I've actually only placed 1 bet this week. The odds were kind of disgusting, and then I noticed this week. So I actually bet right away. I bet 28-1 Jordan Spieth, and I'm pretty happy about that. So that's actually my only bet.
He's down to 22-1 as of this moment. So you got to steal at 28-1.
Yeah, that's the only bet that I made right now. I've been looking. I keep looking, and nothing's like jumping out of the page at me. To be honest with you, you're more the overall.
I'm looking at John Rahm at 6.5-1, which I know I never bet those kind of guys, but I think I'm going to bet instead of betting $1 on 6 golfers to win every week, I'm going to bet $3 to $5 on 3 golfers to win, and then focus in on top 20s and all other weeks. I'm not worried about the top 10s or top 20s this week. It's John Rahm. I'm going to bet Tony Finau at 14-1. I know I'm going to. I know I'm going to bet Tony Finau a lot this year. A name I would love that we didn't mention his name once as a former major winner, a guy that had an up and down year. His swing was all over the place, but on the flip side of the equation, he still had some really good major finishes last year. Colin Morikawa, and he's 20-1 right now. And I don't have him in my DraftKings lineups this week, but I kind of feel like he needs to be at least considered at 20-1 this week. He's a kind of the guy that could flourish this week. I mean, good ball strike. Great ball striker when he's on his game. The problem was last year his swing got away from him a little bit.
I was hoping that he would be a pivot option off of Xander. He's 21% right now.
Wow, so he's higher projections than Rahm right now. Wow.
Yeah. So obviously I was hoping that'd be sneaky. It is not sneaky.
Yeah.
So
again, I'm pretty sure I read that I think only 1 golfer ever has won this event outside of 22-1.
Yeah.
And almost every golfer that's won this event has been 15-1 or better.
Yeah. I think it's like nobody over. I think you're right. I think there was 1 golfer under that, and I think it was like nobody over 35-1 has ever won or something.
And it was still a really good golfer that won the event. This was a guy that had really bad pricing. So I'm looking at Rahm. I actually love Justin Thomas at 11-1 as well. So you might see me place a bet on Rahm, JT, and Finau, and maybe if I'm feeling a little frisky, I might go to Colin Morikawa at 21. But I will not bet anybody that's outside of the top 20-1 this week at all.
I got a buddy that always talks about betting golf, and he's like, just bet on the good golfers. I'm like, yeah, good point.
Just bet John Rahm every single week.
Yeah. Rahm, Thomas. Yep.
Yeah, Rahm, Thomas, and Rory. If you bet every single one of them, you're going to turn a profit every single year if you do that, right?
Yep.
I think that's going to be the thread and the storyline of this year on this show.
Just bet the same guys every week.
Yeah, just bet the same guys. Just bet the best golfers every week, and you're gonna win. Be smart
Yeah.
about it. Stop trying to find that one time a year that a 75-1 wins or that 6,200 is the anchor of your DraftKings lineup.
Yep.
Focus in on the top end.
Yep.
And just put all your money there. I think that's a great idea and thread to focus in on this year.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. So we are wrapping up here the first episode of this season on Trending AM. That's the morning show.
Well,
I'm confused what show I'm doing here. Fairway to Heaven here on DSM Media. We greatly appreciate everybody who tunes in. Stay tuned. Big things happening this year. Make sure you're following us on social media. Fairway to Heaven _ Beard and Knowledge. Jay Sully 2121 for my man here. We got lots happening. We'll be back next week. Maybe Jax will join us next week. I don't know.
He's back next week, buddy. He'll be here.
Jax will be here to tell us that JT is going to win an event. I'm pretty sure he picks JT every single week. Make sure you're liking and subscribing on YouTube. There will be no Fairway to Heaven tomorrow morning as I leave, like I said, for the airport pretty early in the morning.
You called it Fairway to Heaven.
So this is Fairway to Heaven. Dude, I'm tired, man.
It's been a long trip. I know.
It's been 8 days in Orlando, Florida, man. I've drank a lot of alcohol in the last 8 days.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Back to work 7 days a week tomorrow. So
right.
On Thursday. So look, there'll be no Trending in the AM tomorrow, and that'll be back on Thursday. This show will be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. I don't know. It's all over the place. And with better Wi-Fi, so I'll have more stats and ability to go.
Right.
For Jason Sullivan, I am Phil Stifel. Everybody have a great night. Prayers out again and positive vibes to my main man, DeMar Hamlin. Hopefully things start turning a better corner for him. Everybody have a great night, and we'll be back next week, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Have a great night, guys.